First of all, you import your elements. The elements I'm using are a shadow element by the side to highlight the menu icons, a shadow element directly behind the frames, which is for highlighting the frames, and to create a shadow blur for the home UI. Select an image to use for the background. What frames are where the movie preview will be placed. The other elements in text are what you will need to design a streaming service UI, but this depends on your own design idea. I will elaborate more about each aspect of the design as the tutorial goes on. Start duplication of the frames. I will be using 10 frames in this tutorial. Make sure the space between the frames are uniform. You must have noticed that instead of duplicating the frames in quick succession, I created a copy of the 5 frames on the screen and grouped them together. Well, this is because on Canva, once an element isn't on the screen, it gets deleted, and all the frames can't be on the screen at the same time. So I needed to group the 5 copied frames and align them in the same position as the original 5 frames. In doing so, one frame from the group frames will be on the screen and the frames won't get deleted as a result. After all the frames are aligned and in the same position, I will group the 5 original frames with the copy I grouped before, thereby making the 10 frames to be in the same group. You can then proceed by moving the frames to your choice location. Create the movie previews by placing the movie poster of your choice into the frames. So right now, I'm adding the movie logo PNG to the design. You have to be precise about the placement and make sure it is not out of place in respect to the other elements in the design. Right now, I just grouped the frames with the text above because they need to have the same flow of motion. While for the second batch of frames below, you just repeat the same thing I did with the first batch of frames above. Right now, I just copied the frames and I will be pasting them on a new page. I will be using an extra 2 set of frames for the design. The reason I did not just duplicate and arrange them in the previous pages because of what I said earlier about Canva, that is, if an element isn't on the screen, it will get deleted. So I will create the extra set of frames here and arrange their placement here. In doing so, the frames won't get deleted. I will then group them with the text above the first frame on this page so that when I'm adding them to the previous page, an element in the group will at least be present on the screen to prevent the frames from getting deleted. So after the arrangement is done, I will paste the frames to the design page and use the frame already present to get the right position. I will then delete the frame and the text which were there before, as they have been replaced by the new set of frames and texts. This aspect of the design is usually the most tricky part, but with 1 or 2 trials, you will get it right. Note, you must add the movie previews to the frames before you place them in their positions. I didn't have enough time to do that here. This is it for the frames arrangement in this design. Add an image to the circle frame by the top left of the design, which indicates the user profile. Since the design for this page is finished, you create a duplicate of it and replace the background with the next movie poster of your choice. Add the letter PNG of the movie, group it with the text below and above it, copy it and paste it in the previous page by left of the extreme end of the design. And do the same for the movie text on the previous page by placing it at the same point in the next page. This is needed to create the right transition between the movies. You will then move the white circle shape to the next transparent circle shape. Now that you have a complete design for both pages, you add the match and move transition. This is the most important part of the UX aspect of this design, as the transition is the main cause of the animation of the design. The transition simply shows the movement of an element between 2 different pages. So you must make sure the element must be in the previous page for the transition to work.